just drink beer and eat good food and watch football. Our next guest actually has to work all day on Saturday. He is Tom Luginbill, joining us on the New Belgium Fat Tire Hotline. Lugs, good morning. Welcome in, bud.
Good morning to you, man. How are you doing? You're catching me right before I get on my normal Thursday schedule.
I know it. Hey, thank you so much for moving around for us. I had to travel earlier in the week.
What happened?
What?
Here's what happened. So, this sport they call basketball is infiltrating my recruiting world on TV. So, for the rest of the month of November, our recruiting show that we usually do on Thursdays before I go to the airport is all basketball. So it worked out pretty good to get a little bit of a break.
Oh, nice. Well, look, I know you're traveling, running between your TV hits, game day, and also recruitingnation.com. So thanks for moving around, and you let me know if you have to jump off here in the next few minutes. But before we go to this real weird game in Ole Miss and A&M and quarterbacks are out and so on, would you tell our audience the name that you dropped when I asked you who Cam Akers reminded you of in high school? Who Cam Akers reminds you of, and you've got him in the top 30 in your ESPN 300.
Oh yeah, coming out, I said Ezekiel Elliott. Very similar style of runner, thick, strong lower body, a powerful guy. Good ball skills. Both players coming out of high school would take reps at quarterback, so they can handle the football. What I always try to do, and I always avoid it with NFL guys, and so I'm very, very careful when I make comparisons with players that if a guy's already in the National Football League and he's early in his career, I'll make the statement that when they both came out of high school,
right,
they were similar to each other. I'm always very careful about that because I rarely make comparisons with high school guys to NFL guys. I'll do it with college guys to give fans a perspective. But right when I started watching his body type, in fact, our entire staff kind of said it. We were like, he looks like Ezekiel looks. So, we'll see if he pans out that way too.
Right. And again, Luginbill wanted to clarify, evaluating the two guys at the high school level. Cam Akers, running back at Clinton, they're on a roll in the playoffs. Most expect that team to win the state championship, but the playoffs start tomorrow night. Jackson, come in here real quick so that you can help me explain this to Lugs. Right. You told me McShay said what about Leonard Fournette and Ezekiel Elliott within the last day or two?
That they were very similar runners and that he could see Fournette going top 5, just like Elliott.
But did you say he said Fournette was better at something?
I believe what he said, he kind of just said that they are. He thinks he's a better pure runner.
Pure runner.
Luginbill,
Lugs, what's your takeaway on McShay saying that Fournette is a better pure runner maybe than Ezekiel Elliott?
Well, I would probably say that Ezekiel may have a little bit more lateral agility. What I mean by that is like there's different kinds of runners. There's runners that are slashers. There's runners that are pick and slide guys. They're very patient with what they do. And then there's guys that are what I call jump cutters. I think that Ezekiel's more of a jump cutter where Leonard is more of a slashing combination pick and slide guy because their body types are different. Like when I compared Ezekiel and Cam, they have very similar body types. They're not big, tall guys. They're pretty sturdy with their base, thick lower body, whereas Leonard is a tall guy. I mean, Leonard's all of 6'1", and so he has a little bit more of an upright style. Where I think, and I get asked this a lot, guys, and I haven't spoken. Obviously, Todd and I, as the draft gets closer, we talk about a lot of guys, but
sure,
I get asked a lot. All right, who do you compare Leonard Fournette to? Like, what type of back is he? And it's hard because he's not really like many other backs, and it's easy to say, okay, well, he's taller, so is he kind of an Adrian Peterson guy, or is he a Derrick Henry guy? Well, I can tell you right now, he's much better than Derrick Henry in the sense that Leonard can create on his own if he has to. Derrick Henry can't do that. His body doesn't allow him to because he's so long and he's so tall. So it's always been hard for me, and I'm usually pretty good off the top of my head with guys that remind me of people. But Leonard's a tough one. And here's the one thing about Leonard that people don't understand, and a lot of it's because of the offense he's playing in. He isn't a good receiver. he can be an exceptional receiver. His
Wow.
ball skills are on par with what Marcus Lattimore's were coming out. Marcus Lattimore had the best ball skills of any running back I've evaluated in the last 10 years. I mean, he could literally, I mean, he was, and Alvin Kamara was up there, but Leonard has that. Just a lot of people don't know it, and it's going to really, I think, raise its stock once it comes time for draft eligibility.
Oh, wow. And an NFL staff, or most of them, will take advantage of that and maximize that skill set, right? Even though LSU hasn't.
I don't think you can be a feature guy or a focal point of an offense anymore in college or in the National Football League if you're not a viable target out of the backfield. I think when Marshall Faulk changed the NFL from that standpoint, it changed how people defend running backs when the ball's not being handed off, and it didn't used to be that prior to that time.
Okay. Tom Luginbill, recruitingnation.com, ESPN 300. They're doing some really cool stuff at recruitingnation.com. And he joins us on the New Belgium Fat Tire Hotline. Well, you know how we are, Lugs. We're guys. You're talking to a bunch of sports fans and so on shows like this. So we love to compare and rank and so on. We love to rank everything from quarterbacks to beers and steaks. So we had a guy on the show that we really respect about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
He said if Dak Prescott continued to develop and get better in the pocket, which he did in 15, his last year under Mullen, that he thought he may be like a Donovan. I'm not saying he's going to be as good, but like Donovan McNabb. Do you see any of that in Dak Prescott? That guy matched him up with as far as skill set.
Better. I like the comparison. I actually think long term he may be better. I think he may have a better sense of the pocket than maybe Donovan had. And of course it's early, so it's very difficult to take a guy that is in his first year in the National Football League and compare him against a guy that's been to a Super Bowl and been to NFC Championship games. So, but what I will say, and this counts for a lot because you can apply it to Jalen Hurts right now. If you get drafted in the right round by the right team and you have people around you, your learning curve is so less steep than what it would normally be. And that's a luxury right now that Dak Prescott has. And I'm going to give this kid a lot of credit. And I say this because going into his senior year, I actually did the spring game. And I asked Dan Mullen specifically, what do you think this guy's future is at the next level? He goes, it doesn't matter what I think it is because he has convinced himself that if he puts the work in, somebody will take a chance on him and he'll prove everybody wrong. That was Dan Mullen's response to me. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? He said, this guy does more work on the game of football and on his own personal game that has nothing to do with our offense than any player I've ever been around. And I said, well, elaborate on that. He said, we're not an under-center team. He goes, yet every time I look into our facility and I watch out on the field and he's doing stuff on his own, he's not doing anything out of the shotgun. He's working ball skills. He's working ball handling. He's working drops and timing. And so I think you've got to give Dak Prescott a lot of kudos for the most part becoming a self-made player that had a perception that he was one thing and completely reversed that by putting the work in. And I think it's a remarkable story.
It is a remarkable story. I'm sitting here looking at the cover of ESPN, the magazine, read the article last night on Prescott and how many QBs that the Cowboys tried to go get, not named Dak Prescott, in the draft, and then finally had to, I say had to now, but had to select him with the 135th pick in the fourth round.
Well, think about it. I mean, you've got the Russell Wilsons of the world. Okay, you've got the second rounder to Drew Brees, and what's happening in that league now is it's going to be more and more difficult to take a quarterback in the top 10 or top 15 picks because what you're finding is if you're patient and you evaluate and you don't place too much of a premium on this one guy or that one guy, the percentages are actually going to weigh in your favor to find a better player later without the pressure of having to take one in the first round. And I think there are some great lessons out there in the draft as it relates to to taking quarterbacks in round 3 and beyond.
Yeah. I can't wait to see what happens at Denver with Trevor Siemian. They're going to give him another game or two, but everybody's chomping to see Paxton Lynch. So we know that if he plays well, he extends his time. But they play the Saints this weekend is why I throw it out. We're a big Saints town.
Right.
And
the beauty of Trevor Siemian is Trevor Siemian has played good enough and has shown enough flashes to parlay it into a 12-year NFL career. In some ways, he's like Luke McCown. Okay?
Yes.
Or some of these guys, and if you look at the dearth of quarterbacks in the NFL right now, it's hard to name more than 7 guys that you think could get you to a Super Bowl. And there's 32 teams. So now think about the backups and the threes, all right? Trevor Siemian is going to play for a long, long time because of what he's put on tape in, 8-9 weeks of a season.
Tom Luginbill, recruitingnation.com, ESPN 300. He's calling LSU Arkansas this weekend, Luke's?
Correct. Yeah, correct. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to be interested to see which Jekyll and Hyde version of Arkansas shows up. The team that gives up 550 yards on the ground to Auburn in the very next week completely shuts down Florida's running game. And then I'm going to be interested to see just how physically and mentally taxed LSU is coming into this game, and if the contest last week versus Alabama, beats them twice.
In Fayetteville, and Bielema's he's been beat for whatever reason. He's been beating LSU and Ole Miss. Everybody else in the West he struggles with, but he likes to beat the Tigers and the Rebs. All right, I know you got to go real quick. Ole Miss A&M. Chavis doesn't know what to expect this weekend. How do you handle that on the defensive side of the football? Who do you like and why?
I think actually for John Chavis, it's not anywhere near as difficult as people are making it out to be, because they're not going to all of a sudden revamp the offense at Ole Miss in 4 days and change everything they do. They're going to do the same things they've always done. They just may be a little bit more cautious with how they play, how they call things, particularly when it comes to field position. So I like A&M in this game right now. And I just think the team that's a little bit better on defense, which is A&M, will be the team that comes out on top.
Cool. Hey, thanks for working with us this week. Have a great trip to Arkansas.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Luke's. RecruitingNation.com, ESPN 300 compared Cam Akers to Ezekiel Elliott, again, in high school, right? Compared Cam Akers to Ezekiel Elliott in high school. Straight ahead, more on the Twitter Game Day champions. You're listening to the Out of Bounds Show on ESPN 105.9 The Zone, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official health care provider of the Out of Bounds Show. You can go to bcbsms.com and check out all their health and wellness tips.